United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Beagle.
I'm here.
Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Present.
Councilmember Behrman.
Present.
Councilmember Gottschall is excused.
He will either be late or excused.
Councilmember Brumley Fox here. Councilmember Sharp.
Present.
And Councilmember Smiley is excused. Quorum present.
Thank you. Changes or additions to the agenda as presented tonight? Any from manager's office?
Your Honor, I do not have any changes or additions.
Any from the dais? Yeah, I just have one item, and then it'll be correspondence number 3 that I will read into the minutes when we get there. All right, so now we're on to the approval of minutes. We got one set of minutes to approve tonight. That's from the regular city council meeting of September 13th, 2022. Do I have a motion? So moved. Thank you. Any questions, comments, corrections? Seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the regular city council meeting of September 13th, 2022. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Correspondence, we've got 3 items of correspondence tonight. The first one is a note of thanks from the Beagle family. The second item of correspondence is a chief of police memo regarding the body worn camera project. And correspondence number 3 is a late item that came in today, and I'd like to read it into the minutes. Mayor Patrick Beagle, members of the Wixom City Council, the Cutright family would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to the Wixom Police Department for their handling of our emergency situation on Wednesday, September 21st, 2022. Their quick response not only put it at ease immediately, but Sergeant Brian Stawinski's consistent and constant communication as to the status of the situation was so appreciated. The professional interaction between the Wixom police officers and the Michigan State Police not only secured our safety, but assisted in the apprehension of the felon at large. We would like to thank the following officers for their prompt response and professionalism: Chief Phil Langmeyer, Lieutenant Mark Bradley, Sergeant Brian Stawinski, Sergeant Dean Caldwell, Detective Eric Pawlowski, Detective Mike Weiberg, Officer Aaron Brenneman, and Officer Mike Pistolosi. Your dedication and service during this stressful situation truly meant so much and is deeply appreciated. Again, our heartfelt thanks, and it's signed by Jim and Carrie Cutright and Megan Ells. Nice job to the police department. Thank you. Brings us to the first call to the public. I'll read the rules to the call to the public. They are as follows. The public shall address the council during the call to the public, which shall be included on the agenda immediately after correspondence, and again immediately after new business. The first call to the public immediately after correspondence shall be limited to agenda items only. A person shall not address the council in excess of 5 minutes unless the time is extended by a majority vote of the council present. Persons wishing to address the council shall identify themselves and their place of residence and shall state their reason for addressing the council. And all comments by the public shall be made directly to the council. Do we have anybody for the first call to the public? Seeing none, I'll close the first call to the public.
What? I'm sorry. Was that?
Do we have?
For agenda items?
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Okay.
We okay?
Yes.
All right. I'll close the first call to the public and move on to city manager's reports, the departmental reports for 2022. Any questions? Deputy Mayor Resnick?
DPW, a couple of good ones here. Any update on the timing of our hawk light?
On our hawk light, we talked about that this afternoon. It is on order and being shipped this week. So we're hoping within the next 2 weeks.
We're hoping it's installation.
That's the hope. But it's being shipped. It's being shipped this week.
And then we're going to start with that delaying of for interval timing.
Oakland County is still researching the timing of it, but yeah, we're working on it.
Okay. And any other updates from GFL?
We met with them last Thursday as part of our ROSOC meeting, and we have another meeting set up later this week.
And they're aware of whatever issues
They are.
raised.
Yes.
Acutely.
Right. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
no other questions, we'll move on to the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine by City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the items will be removed from the consent agenda and added to the regular agenda at the end of unfinished or new business. Do I have a motion? There you go. Motion and support to approve the consent agenda as presented tonight. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We have no unfinished business tonight, which moves us to the first item of new business, and it's a recommendation to confirm the mayor's appointment of Mary Grant to the Senior Citizen Commission with a term to expire June 30th, 2025, and Alicia Chirilla to the Parks and Recreation Committee with a term to expire June 30th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support. Thank you. Thanks. And we have both the volunteers here tonight. So Mary, if you'd like to come up and introduce yourself, and give a little introduction. And
I'm Mary Grant. I've lived in Wixom since 1988, so I've been here quite a while. My kids all grew up here. And I've been part of the seniors, part of Wixom seniors, do a lot of things over there with them. And I said it's about time I kind of gave back, so here I am.
well, thank you. We appreciate that. And then we also have tonight Lisa Chirilla, who's going to be on the Parks and Rec Committee.
Hello, I'm Alicia Chirilla. I think I lived in Wixom since I was like 4. I went away for college to MSU a little bit ago, but I just graduated in 2021, and I work for an energy efficiency company, and I'm looking for ways to get involved, and here I am.
Well, thank you for stepping up. Yes. School. I have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to confirm the mayor's appointment of Mary Grant to the Senior Citizen Commission with a term to expire June 30th, 2025, and Alicia Chirilla to the Parks and Recreation Committee with a term to expire June 30th, 2023. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you both. We really appreciate it. Next up, new business item 2 is a recommendation to authorize the purchase of a Hustler Super Z zero-turn mower from Munn Tractor and Lawn Incorporated of Auburn Hills, Michigan at a cost of $14,053 from account number 411-441-983.392 DPW capital account mowing equipment. So a motion and authorize the mayor to sign the no, we're good with that. I don't have, okay.
So moved.
Or, thank you. I don't have that. Okay. I must have left it at home. Here, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So every couple of years, we purchase a new zero-turn lawnmower for mowing the different properties here at the city. We have about 270 acres that we mow during the summer each week, and with purchasing them every 2 years, with 5 mowers that we have, we can keep them for approximately 10 years before selling them off as on the auction. This year we put the bids out, and the actual low bid was from a company in Ohio, and we did kind of a little bit of math on that for if anything would happen to the mower, we felt that it was the best value for us to get our machine from Munn. If we needed to replace it or repair it, to take it back to Ohio was a 3.5-hour drive, and that didn't worth the $400 that cost that was differential on that. So we're recommending going with the Munn tractors to purchase our zero-turn mower, and the company, we've been working with them for over 10 years and have had no problems with them.
So, and basically, it looks like Munn equipment has the better warranty too, so we're almost buying and extending a warranty for $400.
That's correct too.
Any questions? Councilmember Brown Fox?
So I'm thinking that the cost, 14,000 and some change, is because it's commercial thing. And I've priced them for myself.
Right.
The price is a lot different.
It is a lot different. It's a rear discharge mower that, yeah, it's, I think it does about 16 miles an hour. And, yeah, it cooks through and cuts just as effectively. So, we've used these for quite a while, and, yeah, they're the better mowers for what we use them for. And because we keep the same type of mower, parts and everything, we can keep a smaller group of parts on stock and be able to replace them depending on which one is damaged. So that's what we go.
Councilmember Sharp?
Thank you, Mayor. Director Sickman, I just had a question about the warranty. I agree. I support the proposal, but tell me about the warranty. It's 5 years with 1,200. I'm just trying to learn here. 1,200 hour limit or 3,000 hour limit on pump and motors. Offer a 2-year warranty, no hour limit. Does that mean we get the first 2 years with no hour limit? 1,200 on 5 years. But how many hours a year do we use it?
So yeah, we did that as well.
Yeah.
We're on the 5. We can do 100 to 300 hours per mower. So really the 2-year mark is effective for what we saw. And what we were really concerned with is the motor. At this point, if all the other parts on this machine can be replaced fairly cheap, but the motor itself, we've only had one problem in the last 15 years with the motor, and actually one replaced it for us. So we're confident that the hours are fit within our plan, and also the warranty with the 5-year extended for the 1,200 hours will work for us.
But you're more concerned about the 3,000 hour limit.
We were.
Pump and motors. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Thank you, Mayor. In terms of, are we going to be replacing one, or is one coming out of service?
One's coming out of service. The 10-year-old one will come out of service, and this one would come back in to service.
Barring any personnel availability issues next season,
We'll keep this one.
we would keep it
Yeah.
in service? Because we have noticed like the right and left sides,
Right.
an airline trail, full length, we get a lot higher. Is it the same equipment, or do we use the?
So for the airline trail, we've been using the sickle bar, which is a 7-foot
It's coming out today?
yeah, and we do use that on some of the areas of the airline trail, but usually we use the tool cap for that. So we have the sickle bar and a front mower for that as well. But these are primarily for the parks and for the cemetery, and the distance is the 6-foot. Yeah, it's 72 inch.
Well, hopefully next year we won't have the personnel availability issue.
Right. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Sorry for the confusion earlier, but I have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to authorize the purchase of a Hustler Super Z zero-turn mower from Munn Tractor and Lawn Incorporated of Auburn Hills, Michigan, at a cost of $14,053 from account number 411-441-983.392, DPW capital account mowing equipment. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. New business number 3 is a recommendation to waive the bid process and approve the purchase of a clock from Mac Park from the Verdine Corporation, a company of Cincinnati, Ohio, as a sole source provider, and the amount of $30,934 from account number 411-751-986.544. So a motion?
So moved.
Support?
Ms. McGee?
Good evening. Before you tonight is a request to purchase a new ornamental clock from Mac Park. The current one that we have does not work. And you're also aware that Neck Park is being renovated. There's a phase 2 project of the trail, which includes a new shelter, landscaping, benches, trash cans, etc. So after looking at restoration estimates as well as a new clock, we are recommending the purchase of a new clock. Any questions?
Councilmember Sherwood. Councilmember Berlin.
Fair enough. Thank you.
I'm off.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Heath. My only question was in regards to the location of the pavilion that's going to be going there, and then the existing clock. Are we moving things around? Is there enough space as presented?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we've gone through the Mack Park sketches several times. We've replaced the clock in different positions. We're still in the process of finalizing it, but there's plenty of space.
So is it going to be staying in the same location, or is it going to be moving a little bit more?
We're proposing to move it actually where the ornamental tree is right now, so that's the latest. We have a year to decide the exact location because it takes 210 days to move it.
And then follow-up to that is going to be then the location of the pavilion. Has that been determined and
Yes.
ordered, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Councilmember Brenda Fox.
I love it. I think it's awesome. 2 questions. The price, I'm just amazed that we bought it back in 90 something. It was 28,000 and already made it right over so for 30, so that's great. How long did the last one last?
Well, we had it since 1990, but as far as working issues, it worked on and off for, I don't know, Tim, what would you say? The last 2 years it's been on and off.
So it's going to take me. So hopefully we'll get as much longevity out of this one.
We hope.
Thank you.
Councilmember Sherwood.
Hi, Director McGee, just a quick question. There's 2 options listed there. We're not getting those options. It says something about bronze plaque and a logo on dial, but they're not checked. That's not part of the proposal.
Correct.
Thank you. Not that I cared, I just wondered what the logo was going to say, so if we have it. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to waive the bid process, approve the purchase of a clock from Mack Park from the Verdine Company of Cincinnati, Ohio, as a sole source provider, in the amount of $30,934 from account number 411-751-986.544 Mack Park. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Please note, Councilmember Gatchel is here at 7:20. Thank you. New business number 4 is the recommendation to accept the proposal for wastewater treatment plant upgrades and a secondary clarifier construction from Grand River Construction of Hudsonville, Michigan, for a total cost of $6,002,279, and authorize the mayor to sign the construction agreements along with approval of the required city budget amendments. Motion. Support. Thank you. Mr. Sigmund, you're up again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So over the last few years, we've been looking at the plant upgrades that are underway currently, and we've had some concerns with capacity issues based on the increase that we're expecting from Milford Township, and then also the development of the Ford property. And with those changes in place, we're expecting our flows to go up, and our limits are a concern for us at the wastewater treatment plant. So we're recommending at this time to move forward with a portion of our 10-year capital that was a few years out yet, and that's primarily just from the advancements of developments in the area. So we put that out to bid, and we utilized 2019 prices from our upgrades, and we added, I think, 15 to 20% to that to get an estimate of what we thought was going to happen. And when we put that out to bid earlier this year, it came back higher than expected. We worked with Milford Township to get an agreement to cover their portion of these new upgrades. As you may know, there is a memorandum of understanding between the city of Wixom and Milford Township that we receive up to 1 million gallons of wastewater treatment a day from their community. And right now their flows are fairly low, but we're expecting them to increase. So they're agreeing to pay approximately 28% of the cost of this particular upgrade, which we feel is adequate for this upgrade and their costs both now and future for capital pieces. So when we went out to bid, we received bids from 4 different companies, and this was the low here at Grand River Construction out of Hudsonville. We feel they're qualified to do the work, and we're recommending that they do that. The portions that we have not budgeted for, we're requesting assistance through the capital funds and the general funds, as noted in the report. And with that, I'd be open for questions.
Deputy Mayor Whitman.
All right, thank you. Number one was, will this address any of our phosphorus issues?
So our phosphorus is coming. There's a portion that's part of our treatment plant upgrades that we're currently doing with the oxidation ditch aerations, and we feel that those with the added controls that we'll have with the oxidation ditches that would take care of most of our phosphorus issues. The other part of that is the industrial pre-treatment portion. We found that there's phosphorus coming in as reactive versus non-reactive phosphorus, and we're unable to treat the non-reactive phosphorus, the soluble non-reactive phosphorus, and we found that was coming from industry, and we're working through the regulations for them to stop giving us that type of phosphorus. Yep, and that's part of their industrial pretreatment permit. And then with the added flows, that we're going to make our clarifiers more effective, which would mean that we could treat our solids a little better there. And then the added clarifier would actually improve our flow capacity. So it's kind of a rounded treatment plant at this point. So we think we'll be good for another, after this upgrade, for at least another 10 to 15 years, or 2 build out.
Which leads to my next question. The western terminus of the sewer that Milford Township uses, how far west does it go?
So the majority of the lines are east of Old Plank Road, but we do have a portion, or a force main, I believe, that comes, or that has the potential of coming from the Oakland County. I can't remember. I have to ask Mike. The Oakland County force main, that the park.
He goes from Kensington.
Kensington.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the reason my question is this new senior living development that's going up on the corner there. Is that going to be tapping into our cemetery?
That's on Pontiac Trail.
The one that's on Milford Road and Pontiac Trail.
Yes.
It is?
Yep.
So estimates in terms of the increased flow there. And I've heard there's going to be some massive amount of housing.
There's 1,000 on the levy property. There's 1,000 residents that would be coming in just on that property. And then if we have the 700 that comes from Robertson, and then the Kensington, that kind of rounds out their flows.
So they'll be close to their 1.5 then?
They'll be close to 1 million gallons a day. Yep. Which will be 1/4 of the treatment plant flow coming into the plant.
So capacity-wise, you're not concerned about those 3 developments?
No, and in fact, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to make sure we had the capacity prior to so that we don't have any problems with the state at this point.
Thank you.
Councilmember Brown Fox?
Thank you. So huge price tag, but I know that it's necessary. And those additional 1,000 units that you're talking about, this cost for Milford takes that into consideration, I'm sure?
Yes, and their price structures, their tie-in fees are all associated with their piece. We do have a flow meter that gets checked on a twice-a-year basis, just to make sure our flows are proper. And they're also being billed on a gallon basis. So they're 1.5 times the city of Wixom's cost for treatment.
And then, because of this project, will residents see any effect on their bill?
Because of this project, we wouldn't expect that they would see any effects on their bills other than the rate structures that we review each year.
They're already in place.
They're already in place, and we'll, yeah, with this capital, we'll go through with Maryland and our advisors on the budgets during the budget process for any additionals. But if you recall, last year there was zero increase on the sewer charges. We would expect that we would go back to the rate structures that we previously utilized. So we've kind of planned for this to a certain point that each year we try and do an incremental increase, and with the added values from tie-in fees and whatnot, we were able to push that 1 year forward this last year.
Okay, but you don't necessarily see an impact because of this, just normal increases that would happen?
Right, yes, it's all part of our capital plan. We'll know more by the end of the year how the tap fees and the enterprise funds balance out. So once we know that and the final our review from Plan Moran, that we would know more. So.
If I may though add on to that a little bit, for example, this $697,000 use of the excess fund balance from the 2022 additional surplus that has come out since the close of the fiscal year. That's an option for us to include in the UFS, Utility Financial Services, is the company that we utilize to assist us in determining our rate structure. So we wanted to potentially pay back that borrowing from surplus fund balance. That could be something that could be included in the rates as an example. That we could put into the rate structure and spread it out over a period of time and pay it back if that was of interest to the council, or we could decide to not do that.
Once our annual audit's completed, we'll know more. But we know that this is a viable option, and if we can, balance it out earlier, we would do that. So that we'd have to transfer it back into the general fund, but what you're worried about.
And then you support it. Thank you.
Councilmember Gatto?
Thank you. I noted the remark that we've received 4 bids, but only one is presented. Do you recall what the totals were for the other 3?
All 4 of the bids are there. We have the Grand River bid on page, I believe, 3 of the report.
It's within the HRC documentation.
Yeah. AZ Shmina and LaSalle.
Okay.
They run from 6 million. The one that's chosen is just $6,002,279. 6,136,000 and change, 6,298,000 and change, and 8,000. I won't even talk about that.
The first 3 were right in line with each other.
I see the high, so on page 1 of HRC, I see the range, but not the list.
Yeah. The second page.
There's a bid tabulation that should be on the second page unless something went awry in your copy, which is fine.
That's broken up. Okay, I appreciate it. It was just different. It's like the, sometimes we get it in the actual, like, city manager's report, it's spelled out different, so.
Correct.
Thank you.
Assistant City Manager Benson?
Just one more point to Tia's point, that the other benefit for residents is that using the ARPA funds for this is a situation where it wouldn't, none of that would have to be rolled into general fund or the sewer fund. So that was something we talked with council about a while ago, and we're continuing with that recommendation to do so, so that those funds can be used in an impactful way. Just wanted to add that point too. About that.
Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Yeah, I did have another question regarding funding. So our funding input wasn't called out as an item in that one chart. Is that because that would go into the general fund?
We did.
Did it come out?
We had initially included that in the capital plan, in our budget already.
Capital
as a grant, yes, as a grant in the capital plan.
Okay, right.
So it was already worked into the initial capital plan.
Have we received the second phase of that yet?
I'd have to check with Maryland in terms of whether it was on in hand or not.
I know we received the first phase.
And then the last thing I wanted to add in terms of the fund balance, prior to this use of this extra surplus fund balance that happened at the end of fiscal year 2022, we were projecting the 22-23 fund balance percentage to finish at 36.6%. Even with the usage that we're projecting here or asking for approval for here with that $697,000, we still have additional surplus that's being allowed to roll into the fund balance. The fund balance will increase by another 3% up to 36.60%. So we're still increasing our fund balance by 3%, including this usage of the surplus.
Councilmember Sharp?
Thank you, Mayor. Director Sickman, there's a note here about Milford approving $1.69 million for construction. I assume they're already on board for the design engineering and construction engineering costs. Well, I think we did that a few months ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the other thing I wanted to make a point of, because I've been had an issue with this on previous meetings, but I do appreciate the budget transfer rather than just dipping every last penny and taking it out of capital reserves. There is a budget transfer in here, and I do appreciate it. I know it's not the whole thing, but it's something, and I appreciate the effort. And we can debate which fund it came out of, but I think it looks like a good choice. So thank you very much. That's it.
To further that, Milford Township actually approved $1.8 million, but for the construction piece of it, that's the 1.6 that you see. Thank you.
Any questions? All right, seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to accept the proposal for wastewater treatment plant upgrades and secondary clarifier construction from Grand River Construction of Hudsonville, Michigan, for a total cost of $6,002,279, and authorize the mayor to sign the construction agreements along with the approval of the required budget amendments. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. New business number 5 was a recommendation to direct the city's Commerce, Walled Lake, and Wixom Trailway Management Council representative to vote to approve the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund Agreement approving partial transfer and conveyance of certain real estate subject to land acquisition project agreement TF-11-123 and permit the withdrawal of Walled Lake from the Trailway Council. Do I have a motion? So moved. City Manager Brown?
So what we have before us tonight is just something to recognize some decisions that need to be made at the Trailway Council level. Walled Lake has long been speaking of their desire to withdraw from the Trailway Council. It has not been formally recognized as yet. Partially the reason for that is what's before you tonight in terms of this partial transfer and conveyance of certain real estate agreement coming through the Natural Resources Trust Fund. There was a lot of give and take and discussion of it between a lot of parties. We've got our city attorney, we have the Trailway Council attorney, the Trailway Council itself, the City of Walled Lake, and the Department of Natural Resources that have been talking this over for some period of time. So with the recognition and acceptance of Walled Lake's withdrawal from the Trailway Council, which is part of this, we had to address the issue of what would happen on their mileage, if you will, of the Michigan Airline Trail. And this conveyance of certain real estate agreement is the result of that long winding process. So we have this document for you tonight that covers all of it. We're looking for approval to go ahead and allow me as the Trailway Council representative, or perhaps Deanna McGee, if I'm not available to attend the meeting for some reason, as she's my alternate, to go ahead and approve that agreement and then also approve the withdrawal of Walled Lake from the Trailway Council. The last part of this, which isn't addressed here, there will be some issues to bring up in terms of our operating agreement among the communities that are remaining. And the long story short on this agreement, Walled Lake is going to be given control of the trail within their city limits, but they're going to be required to maintain it. They're going to be required to not to make sure they continue to use it as a recreational property, things of that nature. They're in the agreement. That's all I have in terms of oversight. There might be other questions that I can talk about it.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Yeah, again, you may have answered it, but there were 3 points three conditions that were called out in the memo.
Right.
In terms of obligations, and it did not say anything about maintenance, future maintenance, and upkeep. You said that is part of the...
That was my recollection. Let me see.
It says to keep that portion of the trailway within its jurisdiction. That's it. It said subject only to the following conditions. That's why I was concerned when I read it.
Well, I believe maintenance is on the individual communities already, so that's why it's not covered in the agreement.
So because it's been remaining within their jurisdiction, they're still going to be required for the maintenance of the right.
Correct. I think that's part of the existing agreement, to go ahead and correct, but that's the way I remember it. It's part of the existing agreement, the existing relationship already is they're responsible for that. That's why it's not covered in the agreement. If it's not extensively.
I just said only as that was concerned. All right, thank you.
So they will be responsible for maintenance.
Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you, Mayor. I spoke to City Manager Brown about this afternoon. I couldn't figure out why Walled Lake wants out. It's got to be money. That's always what it is. And I was thinking there's probably a very minor savings in terms of the fixed costs that we see as part of the trail authority. Like the manager of the trail, advertising, all those things. We will now bear a larger burden of that, I assume, will be part of what's coming in the future. I still support this. Walled Lake wants out, they want out. I don't think there's anything we're going to do about it, but I suppose we could vote no, but ultimately I think based on what we saw from our city attorney, we'll probably have ability to get it. Just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry, Wixom will end up bearing a little more cost probably in the end, but I still value the trail enough to do that and keep going, so I support this. Thank you.
Councilmember Brennan Pye.
Thank you. I also support it, and that was my concern as well, as if I didn't see the maintenance piece either. And so my concern was that if they're wanting to opt out, that was included in the opt-out, is to not pay for those maintenance costs. So I just want to make sure that they're still on the hook for that.
It's been discussed at council, the Trailway Council.
Thank you.
Councilmember Gatchell.
Thank you. In line with the maintenance things, are there, being that we're all responsible individually as cities for our portion now, are there standards within the Trailway Council of what is expected that Walled Lake may be able to circumvent by not being part of it? For example, if their portion of the trail comes under such disrepair that they decide, hey, it's now a dirt bike path instead of an asphalt bike path, Is there some standard in Trailway Council that says we have to maintain it as asphalt now that they can potentially be circumventing in 22 years maybe?
I believe it was part of all the grant agreements and everything else that were executed at the time when the construction was done, partially funded with those grant funds from the various funding sources, the DNR, the other funding sources at the state.
That it would be maintained as asphalt? Is there?
I'll get a specific discussion of that, and I can give you a report back, and that's my understanding of it.
Is there a way to approve this and then you know that generally we would agree, but we want more answers before you actually vote on it, as to making sure that it's not going to become asphalt in Milford and Commerce and then dirt in Walt Lake and back to asphalt?
I can make sure that we get those clarifications without any kind of language on there if you like. I'll bring it up at the Trailway Council meeting, make sure that we answer those satisfactorily, and as long as that's the case, I can proceed. If not, I'll punt for the moment. We can come back and discuss it again.
Yeah, that's the only thing that concerns me, is because this is a decades down the road, right, potentially, and none of us might be here, so.
Right. As I said, this has been discussed quite a bit at Trailway Council, and I'll go back and verify that, where the language is and all that, and I can give a report back after we have the action, unless the answers aren't satisfactory.
Yeah, I just really appreciate being clear with them, even though that you're not in Trailway Council. Here's this thing that you signed that says it's not going to become whatever you want in the future and stuff. All right, thank you.
I'm in agreement with Councilmember Sharp that I don't know why Walt Lake would pull out of this. My question is, when they pull out, can they advertise, like, for the people in their brochures for new homeowners that, we have the airline trail? Because if they're not going to partake in the airline trail, they shouldn't be able to advertise that they have a, airline trail that would be beneficial for their citizens.
Yeah. I'd have to check into that further, but I don't see any realistic way to prevent that from happening, but I can check into it with the Trailway Council.
I just think that'd be kind of a chicken type thing to do, to get out of paying for everything, but still taking advantage of everything. All the advertisements that we do and everything like that for us. So.
Understood, I'll check into that.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to direct the city's Commerce, Walt Lake, and Wixom Trailway Management Council representative to vote to approve the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund agreement approving partial transfer and conveyance of certain real estate subject to land acquisition project agreement TF-11-123 and permit the withdrawal of Walt Lake from the Trailway Council. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And that concludes the new business portion of our meeting tonight. We move on to the second call to the public. Again, the rules for the call to the public are as follows. The public shall address the council during the call to the public, which shall be included on the agenda immediately after correspondence and again immediately after new business. The first call to the public immediately after correspondence shall be limited to agenda items only. A person shall not address the council in excess of 5 minutes unless the time is extended by a majority vote of the council present. Persons wishing to address the council shall identify themselves and their place of residence and shall state their reason for addressing the council, and all comments by the public shall be made directly to the council. Do we have anybody for the second call to the public tonight? Step up to the podium, please. Give your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Jay Thompson. I live in Wexford News Subdivision, 1881 Grasmere Lane. I wanted to come in to talk to you guys about the recent sidewalk leveling that I heard that you're going to be doing there. I took it on the liberty to call in March to ask about when the potential sidewalks would be leveled. And I was told, 3 to 5 years. So I took it on the liberty myself to do it myself on 5/6/22, so recently. And then I called in and was asking about potential reimbursement because I did all that leveling or had to hire it out for my family and my kids. There was obstructions and cracks and my kids were riding their bikes and, potential trip hazards. subsidy on myself, so I'm just asking if I could get reimbursed for, that concrete, leveling section.
If you want to contact Drew after the meeting or get a hold of him during office hours, and
We can plan after this meeting and, after 7 months,
Okay, all right, thank you.
more.
Thank you. Anybody else for the second call to the public? Seeing none, I'll close the second call to the public and move on to city manager's comments. City Manager Brown?
In the city manager's update, we only had the work anniversaries this time around, Your Honor, ranging from 1 year on up to 25 years, 23 years, 2 employees in the police department, Caroline Shave with 23 years of service on October 18th, and Craig Shergart, 25 years on October 13th. We might not see them on the work anniversary list next time, for what I think.
I'm going to say something about that. But I just want to let it slide.
It's a possibility.
Assistant City Manager Benson?
Beyond, I brought a pretty extensive report in the packet, so I don't have anything else to add unless there's any questions.
All right, very good. We'll move on to council comments. Councilmember Brennan.
Thank you to the mayor and council for allowing my son to be up here tonight. It's his 7th birthday, and generally we take him out to dinner, but apparently we had a council meeting tonight, so he asked if he could come here. Now you realize how boring these meetings are? You're probably going to want to come again, right?
Is there anything you want to say to get on the record?
Anything you want to say, Kaden? Talking to the mic. Where do you go to school?
Wixom Elementary.
And what do you like to do?
Ninja Warrior, and I do Ninja All-Stars.
Okay. Anything else?
And come into council meeting.
Yeah, apparently come to the council meeting. So, thank you for being quiet and sitting through the meeting. And as for my professional comments, I just would like to state my appreciation to Mary Grant and Alicia Chirilla for stepping up to be on the Senior Commission and the Parks and Recreation Commission. Appreciate any resident that's willing to get involved. And that being said, I did look at the list this evening, and we still have several vacancies. So anyone still looking to get involved, talk to the mayor in the meeting. He'd love to appoint you.
Contact the clerk's office.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you, Mayor. Peter, I think your son likes to watch bros get paid too, doesn't he?
That was actually the younger kid that
okay.
enjoyed, yeah. Good five.
Well, very exciting life you guys lead out there. Now for my professional comment. First of all, thank you to Mary and Alicia also for stepping up and volunteering. I always appreciate it. And pretty soon you can sit up here with us. That's how we got here.
Slippery slope.
Wanted to thank Director Sickman and the work on the airline trail. We've seen it. First, the airline trail. I think last meeting, I don't think I'd ridden it yet, along Pontiac Trail. Really nice job. I thought the concrete was really good, very smooth transitions between all the entrances and driveway. I know there's a lot of things to button up, the traffic signals and all, but it's really going to be a great addition to the city. I'm really happy with it right now. And just the sidewalks too, the concrete. I'm sure the gentleman that spoke will do what's right, and but I've seen a lot of roped off areas, a lot of new concrete panels, and that's really good to see. So thank you.
Councilmember Gatchel.
Thank you. Wanted to wish happy birthday to our honorary council member down there. Not how I would have spent my 7th birthday, but good for you. Also, welcome to our newest board members, and thank you for dedicating your time to help shape the city. Wanted to commend, it was in our packet, the police department for beginning to use body cams. I know that's been in the works for quite some time. I'm glad we finally saw it through. So thank you to the new police chief and the other staff that worked on that. I know we had tried it earlier and then there were some hiccups and we were able to get there. So I think that's a good thing for our police officers, the justice system in general, and then just the public as well. And then before our next meeting is one of my favorite days in the city, between the fire department open house and the Panther Hunt on October 8th. I think that those are always two very well put together and well attended events, and that's usually one of my favorite days in the city in the fall. So thank you.
Councilmember Brown Fox.
I too would like to thank Ms. Grant and Ms. Chirla for stepping up and volunteering. And I'd also like to thank and congratulate all those employees celebrating the local issues. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Thank you, Mayor. I would also like to thank our volunteers, and we really appreciate you stepping forward and dedicating your time. And as Councilman Sharp, I think sometimes that's a stepping stone to sit up here. So I hope to see some more volunteerism and get the rest of those positions filled. I also want to thank the police department. I noticed that we made good use of our forfeiture funds and installing a few more permanently mounted speed limit signs. I have noted a marked improvement, change in behavior, I should say, in at least the westbound traffic on Charm since that installation. However short-lived it might be, there is a noted change in behavior. So thank you so much for that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the fall. And of course, Mr. Sickman, DPW, they do a wonderful job with the leaf pickups, which will be starting sooner than we think. So I hope all the residents go online and take a look at the allotted time for their subdivision and relieve DPW of some of the constant phone calls. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, and I'd like to wish a happy birthday to our honorary council member Katie who's there. And then thank you to Mary and Alicia for stepping up and volunteering and being a committee member for one of the fine committees that we have in our city. And I'd also like to thank everybody who's, and congratulate everybody who's celebrating a work anniversary with the city. I appreciate that. And yep, I'm kind of excited too. I'm usually out of town for the Panther Hunt and the fire station open house, but I'm going to be in town this year, so I'm looking forward to attending those and seeing everybody there. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Good night, everybody.